Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to another table talk. As the title says, today I want to just discuss with you a little bit about the batteries that I use in my park jets, including a bit of a review on one of the newer batteries that I've been using for the last couple months. Um, I'm not trying to shove my way of doing things down anybody's throat. I'm not trying to shove brands down anybody's throat, anything like that. But these are batteries and techniques that have worked for me for a very, very long time and have allowed me to get good durability and good performance out of my batteries in the long term. For most of us, at least for me here in Canada now, LiPo batteries have become the single most expensive consumable. From an item cost, I'm paying around $35 US per battery now by the time the dust settles, which compared to when I first got in the hobby about 5 years ago is probably more than 50% increase in price. I mean, that's just the way of the world. But I did write an article, my initial thoughts on this Gens Ace 2200 3-cell 45C battery when I first got them, and I explained a little bit about my logic for why I went with this battery now. So I'm not going to rant on about the costs and things, but I will talk a little bit about what's available to me now, and you may be caught in the same boat depending on where you live. I'm going to touch a little bit about how I take care of my batteries, or have learned how to take care of my batteries to get them to last the longest. I'm not going to get seriously in depth in how to properly charge. What's a good charger, what's a bad charger, anything like that. If you go to YouTube and type in charging LiPo batteries, you're going to get 1,000,001 selections. So I'm not going to add to that laundry list by giving you my thoughts, other than what's worked for me to take care of my batteries. The number one thing I will say, and again a bit of a public service announcement, is that you need to take care, you need to treat LiPo batteries with respect and take care of them. I've seen a few LiPo fires at my field, and believe me, they're not anything you want to deal with at the field, in your car, going to and from the field, or especially in your home. These things, when they decide to catch fire, it's explosive, it's hot, it cranks out all kinds of noxious gases and chemicals and fumes. They're just a nasty thing. You just do not want to cause a LiPo fire if you can help it. So treat them with respect, take care of them, and they'll take care of you. So anyway, there's my public service announcement on safety. So let me talk first about why I use 2200 size batteries. I fly a lot. I fly on average, since I started flying park jets, I'm retired. I fly about 100 flights a month, probably on average, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the time of year. I live in a place where I can fly just about all year round. So I fly in different, varying temperatures, from slightly below freezing to high 20s, 80 some Fahrenheit. So I'm looking for, because like I mentioned, $35 US for a battery, especially when I'm using them a lot. I'm looking for batteries that are going to provide me simplicity and durability in charging, using them at the field, and if I have to, in storage charge. So that's why essentially I just use a 2200 3-cell. The other thing is, I found with my flying style and how I build my planes is they are a bit heavier, obviously, than a 1600 or an 1800, but they give me that weight that I like. I like my planes sort of within, I'm building a little bit lighter by choosing other options. So if I can get my planes to sort of between 19 to 22 ounces, I'm pretty happy with that. But I just like the weight that the batteries give me, 2200 batteries give me, and then I go to the field, the wind picks up, I don't have to worry about, all I've got is light batteries, and my planes just they can't handle it, they're getting bounced around. So these are just versatile for me. They just give me the weight and presence in the air that I like. So that's why I use 2200 batteries. Okay, so why do I pick batteries that are in sort of the 40C range, which is when you look at the amp rating of right now, the most amp hungry power system I use pulls about 41 amps. So I'm, this obviously, running the math, 2.2 times 40, it should deliver 88 amps, which is, way overkill. Okay, so why do I pick batteries that are around 40C? Well, I started using these Zippy FlightMax 40C batteries about 4 years ago. This one's actually about 3.5 years old. August of 2014 was when I started using this. And, it's a little tired, but it's still holding up really well. I used to run the NTM 2836 2700 kV motor from Hobby King, which is, I call it like the V8 of ParkJet motors. It's torquey, it's powerful, but it's seriously amp hungry. It used to draw anywhere between 50 to 60 amps, depending on the motor, on 3S with a 6x4 prop. So that was one of the reasons that I went to these batteries. Was I used to like that power and in those days and that weight. So I needed batteries, obviously, that could handle that. So these handled that. But then what a couple of years ago when I stopped using that, is what I noticed was, even with going to much significantly lower amp draw power setups, was that these batteries were just lasting a long time because I'm not pushing them, anywhere near their capacity. Now, some of the older ones that I have, they do come down a little bit warm, so it's just a factor of the battery getting older. But it just, it's just a formula that's worked for me. So call it stubbornness, call it, whatever you want. But I'm a big fan of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it thing. So that's why I use 2200 batteries and why I select 40C or in the neighborhood of 40C. So let's talk about right now I'm running 3 types of batteries. So one of the reasons why I've liked the Zippy battery is, again, long-term durability. They do, as they get older, obviously they don't deliver the same power, but they will consistently, when you first put them in the plane, you take off, sort of that first minute and a half, I'm going to get really good, awesome dumps of power, for those screaming high-speed runs and full power vertical climb outs and stuff. That I fly pretty aggressively in my flying videos. I don't fly that way all the time, but it allows me to get about a 5-minute flight and still land with between 3.7 and 3.8 volts per cell, which is where I sort of like to have my batteries when I land. For me, if I fly for any more than 5 minutes, I start to get bored, and then or I get cocky and I start doing crazy things, and my crash ratio goes way up if I fly more than 5 minutes. So that's just what's worked for me. After that sort of minute and a half or so, the power delivery it does start to fall off a little bit. So what I will tend to do is I'll get a couple of good screaming runs out of the way, and then fly around, do some basic aerobatics where I'm just sort of around 60% throttle or so. It allows the battery to recover a little bit, and then I can get a few more runs. But the power does it does gradually fall off. It's just it's just the way batteries work. They're just, these LiPo batteries work. They just don't, they're not, they're designed to be able to deliver a lot of power at one time. But these are, have worked out super well for me. So if you can get these and don't have to pay the, these are like $13 US. I'm paying like $21 if I want to order them from Hobby King in the US right now. I'm probably going to be paying about $21 in shipping, duty, taxes, all that rigmarole. But anyway, I promised I wouldn't get off on that rant. Excuse me. So about a year and a half ago, I picked up a few of these. This is Zop Power 2200 3-cell 45C. High power, high quality. Anyway, I picked these up from Banggood because at the time Banggood was pushing the edge of the envelope. They were shipping these for free. So they were about the same cost as what Zippies were costing me at that time. So I thought I'd give a few of them a try. So I have about half of the ones that I have are about a year and a half old, and then I have the other half is about a year old. All of these batteries probably have a slightly different raw material type of chemicals in them. these batteries, even as they get older, these Zop Power, they will really, I don't like to use the word explosive again, talking about a LiPo battery, but these will deliver, during that first minute or so, will really deliver some serious power dumps, if you want for those, screaming high-speed runs, vertical climb outs, that sort of stuff. But after that, even if I use the strategy where I, fly around easy for a while, the power, what I found with these is that the power tends to fall off a lot more quickly in that sort of last minute, 30 seconds to a minute of flight time than the Zippies do. The other thing that I've noticed is the ones now that are like a year and a half old is compared to these Zippies, pardon me, they some of them now take a lot longer to bring up to the balance, the sort of 4.2 volts per cell. Like it'll take, sometimes like a newer battery I can charge at 2.2 amps. Balance charge, I can charge them in probably less than an hour. Some of these now will take an hour and a half to 2 hours, some of these older ones. So that's just something to keep in mind if you can, if you can still get these from Banggood. They're good. They're a good battery. I've been impressed with the power that they've delivered for the price. But again, the power they'll deliver. I found they'll deliver gobs of power up front, but the power falls off a little bit faster at the back end. And again, keep an eye on them as they start to get more than a year old. If you're able to get them to last that long, where you may notice they take a little bit longer to get up to balance. Okay, so these Gens Ace, these are new to me. I've had a couple of discussions with RC Plane Pirate over these. He did a video quite a while back on these Gens Ace. Gens Ace has a pretty good name in the RC community. So I picked these up. These are a 2200 3-cell 45C. Again, you can read more about them in my initial impressions article on my blog. I've got about 10 flights each on these now. I bought 3 of them. I've got about 10 flights on them now, and also probably about another, for each battery, probably 4 or 5 full charge, storage charge cycles, because I've been using these, when I do a big bench test session collecting data on different motors, I've been using these because these are my newest battery. So what I will say with these, again, they're new, but what I will say with these is that they don't tend to deliver, they're a little bit closer in, that initial dump of power to the Zippy. They don't dump the power as quickly as the Zop Power, but they do provide, and again, this could be a factor of the, these are only a couple months old, whereas, some of these are obviously over three years old. They do tend to, what I do notice is that they deliver the power very consistently. Like I don't really notice yet any sort of real fall off in the last, 30 seconds to a minute of the flight. So they've been holding up really well. They still have the Dean's connector on them, which I'm just waiting on some more connectors to show up from Banggood. I will probably swap these out. I do have an adapter so that I can use them, but I'll probably clip those off and put a XT60 connector on them. But these have thus far, again, just with 10 flights and a few other cycles, these have been holding up really well. So works great. So those are the 3 batteries I use. Why I use 2200s. Why I like 40C batteries. So just quick and dirty on the charging. These are this is just a cheap 4-button charger. I think if you were to Google 4-button LiPo balance charger, you'll see all kinds of brands. I got these mine from Hobby King. I have one that's about 6 years old and another 2 that are about 5 years old. They're still running strong. I can charge LiPos. I can also charge my transmitter battery is a Life-E battery, and I can use this to charge it as well. So these have worked really well, and because they're small, fairly compact, if I'm going flying and I do think I'm going to charge batteries at the field, I can throw a couple of these in my flight box and then be able to charge batteries at the field. So these have worked really well. Like I said, just the run-of-the-mill 4-button charger is what I use. There's lots of better chargers, more powerful chargers out there. Again, if you you Google it on YouTube or search for it on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of reviews on some of the better, more powerful chargers out there. One of the things that I use, I should say, I charge 99.9% of the time I charge at balance charge, and I charge at 1C, so I'll set my charger at 2.2 amps, for these 2200 batteries. That again is just seemed to be a formula that's worked well for me to get the best life out of my batteries. I will occasionally fast charge, like if I've kind of a last minute decision, I'm going to go to the field and fly because it's the weather's nice or whatever. I will sometimes fast charge a few batteries, and then when I get to the field, I'll take my chargers with me, and then I'll balance charge them at the field. So I don't fast charge or charge any way other than balance at all. 99% of the time I charge balance at 1C. So I did buy these. This is a balance board. I picked this up from Hobby King a while ago. I think you can get them at Banggood as well. I'll try and find a link for them. Essentially, you can charge 6 batteries at a time, and depending on, you can, so if they're, say, a 2.2, well, let's go round numbers. If you're running, say, 1000 milliamp or 1 amp batteries, you can set your charger. You need a 6-cell connection on your charger. You can charge, crank 6 amps out of your charger, and theoretically charge 6 batteries at 1C, at a time. I don't tend to use it for charging much anymore, but what I do use it for, though, is the first year or so I didn't pay much attention to putting my batteries in storage charge. If I'd charge them and then I didn't use them at the field for whatever reason. But 3 or 4 years ago I started paying a lot closer attention to that, again, to try and get as much life out of my batteries. So that's what I will use this for, is when I want to put a bunch of batteries in storage charge at the same time. The one thing about these boards is that the batteries all have to be the same cell and the same capacity. So you can't mix and match 2200s with 1500s or whatever. They all have to be 2200 3-cell or 1500 4-cells or whatever. They all have to be the same. But this allows me to put a bunch of batteries in storage at the same time. Now, my rule of thumb for storage, if I say I charged some batteries, a bunch of batteries, I went to the field, I didn't get a chance to use them all because weather, whatever. So I come home with a few batteries that weren't charged or weren't discharged or used at the field. So if I know I'm going back flying the next day, or I'll stretch it maybe up to 2 days if I'm going back flying in about 2 days, I won't necessarily put them in a storage charge or a storage state. But if it's going to be 3 days or more, then I'll put them in a storage, down to 3.8 volts per cell. And I think that since I started doing that, that's also helped my batteries last much longer. So that's sort of my thoughts. Again, I'll actually, if I can find a video. I saw a video that I thought was really useful about these balance boards from UAV Futures, a fellow in Australia who does tons of great videos if you're into quadcopters, but he also talks about taking care of your lipos and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so there's quick and dirty, sort of the batteries that I use, why I use the size and C rating batteries that I use. Quick and dirty, how I charge them to get maximum life, maximum performance out of them. Again, not trying to shove any ways of doing things down anybody's throats. I know you go on the forums and you'll see all kinds of discussion on how you should charge and discharge your batteries, and et cetera, et cetera. But these are what's worked for me. These are techniques that have worked for me to prevent me from spending a whole ton of money on batteries by prematurely wearing them out. Anyway, I hope that some of that's been helpful. Thanks very much for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park Jet Noise, the other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.